The Shark Deck.
Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. If Harry gets kicked out of the US for his revelations over drug usage, will Meghan be the one to blame? Royal commentator Dan Wooten told GB News, "I don't understand why his wife didn't warn him. He talked to her about everything he was going to say. She is in charge, as we both know." Royal biographer Angela Levin added, "It's well known that Meghan is delightful unless you say something that she doesn't want you to say, and then she is really scary. He said himself that what Meghan wants, Meghan gets. It's a tragedy because I think he lets her say and do things that anyone else would say, no, this is not how it works, that she is wrong. She didn't say, be careful, because if you talk too much about drugs, you might be in trouble. The King is not some sort of housing association for distant relatives." That according to royal commentator Robert Hobson. "It's not about cuts, it's about getting the best value for money from those on the payroll. Sometimes less is more." Another source told the Evening Standard, "Over time, properties will be let at commercial rates going forward and to people outside the family. Where it is in a palace environment, they will of course be security vetted." Roya Nicker told True Royalty TV's The Royal Beat, "I don't think Buckingham Palace would give them notice, evict them, and not be mindful of the fact that there was a certain period left to run on the lease. Harry and Meghan renewed the lease last year, and I'm sure they will be looking to get that money back. I do not think that will be a problem. It's more about the optics." One person who could find herself out of a home is Angela Kelly, the late Queen's confidant, dresser and gatekeeper. Kelly once believed she had a residence for life. A source told the Mail, "She's been told she will soon have to move out. It's a nice little place on the Windsor estate and it was convenient for seeing her grandson, who was at a college nearby. But the King has made it clear that under the new reign, people will have to cut their cloth. The King is clearly not in the habit of providing homes for those no longer working for the monarchy." A palace insider told the paper the writing was on the wall for Kelly after the Queen's death. Within days, the locks had been changed on all the cupboards to which she held keys. An insider said, "The King is not heartless or reckless, but if the family members are not part of the core family and not working for the Crown, it is fair for them to house themselves and fund themselves." Palace Intrigue will be right back. A 5-star review from Grateful to Be Here, who describes Palace Intrigue as informative, fun, witty. Dive into this masterful royal reporting and come away with an insider's view to the generally outside perspective. Love, love, love the sly humour that undergirds this serious and informative bite-sized commentary. More, please. Well, thank you, Grateful to Be Here. Less happy with the podcast is Oral Text, who wrote, "Terrible narrator and content. I can't stand the voice of this host, monotone, rushed, and perhaps it's because once you discern what he's actually saying, you realize it's all drivel and malicious gossip. Makes me question what sponsors would want to align with this mean-spirited podcast. 1 star. Thanks, Oral Text. Keep on listening." Royal author Tom Quinn has compared Prince Harry and Meghan Markle to former King Edward VIII and his wife Wallis Simpson. Quinn told The Express, "When you can't make any more films and interviews about how badly you've been treated, what then? What do you do? My fear is that Harry will become the Edward VIII and Meghan will become like Mrs. Simpson. They lived in this beautiful house in France, but we know they were desperately unhappy. Edward VIII was a bit like King Lear, where he gives away all his power, but somehow thinks he can still exercise power through his children. And I think Edward VIII, when he abdicated and went to live in France, thought he would still be an important figure. And he was for a little while, in the same way that Meghan and Harry are kind of significant now because there's so much coverage and commentary about them. But that will fade, and unless they can escape all this negative stuff and find something positive that people are interested in, they will become insignificant in the way that Edward VIII became insignificant and very unhappy." And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, YouTube Music, or your podcast app of choice. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue and good times.